Great day, friends. What a great day it is to
Have a great day.
have a great day.
I am Barry. This is my lovely wife, Alesia, and we wanted to thank you for joining us on Dig In with the Dickersons. We've got a great show. We've got a lot of great things to talk to you about.
But
But
before we go any further,
okay.
let's remind, or first of all, I want to thank our viewers for
Definitely.
their subscriptions and their views.
Yes.
But for those of you who have not yet subscribed, there is a button that we want you to stop right now and hit that button so that your subscription is counted.
We'll pause just for a moment for you to do that. It's like a red button. It says subscribe. Hit that. Good.
All right, that did it.
Great. Hey, on this particular episode, we're going to talk about the 3 P's in the pandemic. As we were sitting around discussing, you said, hey, Barry, why don't we talk about pivoting in the pandemic? And then, okay, we thought about it more and say, hey, let's add 2 more P's. The 3 P's in the pandemic, which are
Pivoting,
prioritizing, and
producing.
3 P's. Let's talk about it right now.
I get chills every time I think about those things because they're so.
Okay, well, great. Since you got chills and you got excitement, talk a little bit about how you are pivoting or had to pivot in the pandemic.
I'm always pivoting.
Yes, we are always.
Thanks to our military lifestyle,
Yeah.
we are accustomed to pivoting, but as it pertains to where we are now, you came home in March
Yes.
for spring break, what we thought was going to
We
be
thought
spring
it was
break.
going to be spring break only.
We had been, Mom had been here with us for a while.
Yeah.
We had just delivered her safely to my brother,
Right.
and we thought, again, spring break's going to be over and you're going to go back to school and I'm going to go back to what I normally do for work.
Yeah.
But you were home
Right.
and we work totally different.
Just a little bit differently.
No, totally. So I had to bring back my volume of my praise and worship music during my work time. And so got that down really good, and then it was time for you to go back as you go back before the actual teachers come back.
Normal school teachers.
So, and then now the kids are back, and your school, your job as a JROTC instructor is important. So
Right.
it takes in. So there are some things that we have to pivot from there, and my job now also pivots around how we do our life.
Right. And for us, as you mentioned earlier, I mean, we're military. We've been married for 29 years. This coming September.
We are in
This is
September.
September. Yeah. In a few weeks, we will be 29 years of marriage. And so throughout our marriage, we've had to pivot every year. I mean,
There was always some type of pivot.
Yeah, the military life is such that, hey, you're somewhere for 2 years and now it's time to pivot and go somewhere else. Or you are in that location, it's time to pivot because you're moving to a new job, a new perspective, a new school. The kids are always changing schools. And so we built the pivoting as part of our perspective as we, another P. Part of our perspective throughout our career. And so the Dickersons, we are accustomed to pivoting. And so during the pandemic, finding ways to pivot came naturally for us.
So after we pivot, we
Right.
must also introduce to them the other P's, and the next one is
Prioritization or prioritizing. We've got 5 different areas that we have at the forefront of our life that kind of guide us. Those are faith, family, friends, health, and wealth. Maybe not in that particular order, but we talked about it. I said, hey, when we discuss it, let's make sure we put it in the right order. So for us, number 1 is always faith. Faith is always number 1. God is in control even during the pandemic, okay? And so in this particular time, the verse that comes to the forefront, Proverbs chapter 3, it says to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your own understanding. Acknowledge him in all your ways and he will direct your path. And so in this pandemic, we were looking for direction. We're looking for God constantly. And so God told us, I'm Lord even in my house and in your house. And oh, by the way, Barry, your house is my house.
things
Okay,
belong
that's
to Him.
right. Exactly. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. So again, He directed us to continue to praise Him and continue to worship Him right from our sanctuary here at house.
And that's important that we all understand that to do it in decency and in order.
Okay.
So oftentimes we think that it can apply to worship and work from home. So when you go to worship, when you go into the house of worship,
Yes.
you get dressed and you
Yeah.
go presentable, and because you're going to be around other people. Same thing when you go to work and you're working from home, you kind of take care of the top part
Right.
so that your Zoom or your web X don't see your bottom part.
Your presence.
But you still want to make sure that you're doing that within the order in which God would have you to do it. So watching the service online, we always made sure that we were still
Got it.
actively as if we were
Got
going
dressed.
to our church. The only difference was we were seeing our church service online.
Yeah.
So that's the prioritization for
Faith.
faith.
Okay. Second, then the second in order is
Family.
family. Okay. Family. During the pandemic, you have to pivot and continue to keep family as a priority. And so for us, throughout our military career, God really laid on me that, hey Barry, you're going to be separated from your family. Quite often. That's just the nature of the military and deployments. And so you need to reinforce that the spiritual presence is far outweighs and is much greater than the physical presence. So even during our separation, we are spiritually connected.
And we
as
had to
family.
learn that kind of early on, because sometimes because our distance is so great, we have to work extra at keeping the family connection there to our mothers,
Yeah.
our siblings, our nieces and our nephews.
To compensate for the physical, we've done a lot more FaceTiming and Zooming and those types of things.
Yeah. Alana and I are weekly. It has been our weekly lunch with the princess that brings me joy and brought us joy when we were both home. But now that you're back at work, I get to enjoy it by myself for that 30 minutes because she is not going to go over.
Yes, that's right. She must stay on task, and we know that. Okay, so faith, family, and the third is
Health.
health. Okay, great. Talk about health a little bit.
Okay, so when it comes to health, we know, I'm sure many of you like me, there are some who are more, that's their thing and they get it. Shout out to Chris Catchings because that's his thing. So
Yep.
he probably didn't miss a step. So health is important. I waffle between doing very good and not doing good at all.
Yeah, but we always got the opportunity to change that. But, in the pandemic, the most important aspect of health is protecting yourself against the virus. The virus is real. It has impacted a large number of people across our country. Unfortunately, our death numbers are much higher than what we would like. But for us, it's important to wear our mask, to socially distance ourselves, to reduce the amount of contact with individuals, not being in large crowds, but protecting yourself from that standpoint and keeping yourself healthy for your family to be able to stay connected with them and do the things that you need to do from a health standpoint.
Doing all that you can do to stay healthy.
The next one is friends. Again, we kind of view friends much like family. You got to make a concerted effort to continue to stay connected and encourage them during this time as well.
Yep, to do the same. One of the biggest joys that we continue to bring about in the pandemic with our friends is that we have a group of friends that we were stationed with in Washington. And many
Right.
of us are still in several different locations, retired in different locations.
That was 2002.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
2000 to 2002. So we built great friendships with a lot of different families there, and they're like family.
So we do a monthly Zoom reunion where we just all get together with our little ones who are now mothers themselves, and we just kind of Zoom, and sometimes it's kind of all over the place.
Yes.
And sometimes it's
Much
really,
like family.
Yeah.
Like family is, get together, reunions,
Talking all
of
over the place.
Yes. The fifth point in the prioritization and prioritizing is wealth. It is wealth. The one thing that is at the forefront of that for us is that God is our provider. He has said, "Hey, I will always be your provider, and I will provide you with more than enough, regardless of what that more than enough amount is." And I say that from this standpoint. A lot of people talk about living paycheck to paycheck. For the vast majority of individuals, we are like that, and we are no different. And during the pandemic, we've had to make some adjustments, prioritizing where our money goes. But again, it's very, very important that we understand that we have more than enough. There was a couple of times during the pandemic that I said, "Hey, Alesia, we've got $175 left, and we got 3 days before we get more money, before we get paid."
The operation budget was
Yes.
was struggling.
Yes, but again, the perspective that we have goes back to that's more than enough. We've tithed. Oh, by the way, continue to tithe.
Oh, yeah.
We pray that you still do that. You've tithed. You've taken care of your responsibilities, and Barry, you've got more than enough. You got something left over.
And
so
even
good.
in that season, we were able to give. We were able to bless again someone else who is definitely working the streets of ministry.
Okay, now we talked about the first two P's of 2 P's in the pandemic, which is pivoting and prioritization or prioritizing. What is the third P? Producing. Even in the pandemic, you can still be productive. So Alesia, talk about how you've been productive during this time.
Again, that one P has to have the other two.
Right.
So in the pandemic, I've been able to continue producing with my business because I had to pivot how it was that I held my appointments.
Yeah.
Although I was a face-to-face, knee-to-knee, belly-to-belly type of business, in the pandemic, I've been a virtual. All of my appointments are held virtual.
Yeah.
So those have continued to do well.
Girlfriends
check in has been phenomenal and been received well. So that has been the two things that I had to prioritize and pivot on as I produce.
Oh my goodness, you throwing all the P's in there. Obviously.
How about you?
Okay, well, I'm always listening to what God has for me. He said, "Barry, during this time frame, there is still more for you to do. Still more that I want you to do in preparation for where I'm taking you down the road." And so that's why I started the Dickerson advertising business, was to be able to, it's paid dividends already in giving you more.
Producing.
Yeah, oh my.
I'm on a P kick right now.
But giving you more exposure for your business online. But also the real estate has continued to be productive as well. We just had a recent closing last week. And so in 2 months from now, I'll be looking to take the broker course and become a real estate broker. So just continuing to have a plan. There you go. Have a plan.
Another P.
Have a plan and sticking with it, even during difficult times. You may have to alter your procedures in what you do, but you still have to stay persistent in what you're doing.
I just had another one. You want to hear what it is?
Okay. Yes.
You got to pray over your plan.
Of course.
You got to submit
Thank
them.
you.
So P's are it right
Yes.
now. P's in the pandemic.
Okay, we're going to close for today, but I just want to remind everyone of the 3 P's in the pandemic. Plus, there were many other P's, but the primary ones that we wanted to discuss were what? Pivoting. Prioritizing and producing, the 3 P's. Now, the virus is still out there, it's still impactful, but the decisions that we all make can make all the difference. Who? Okay, this is not military. Okay.
Our military friends will know it. They will be going, who?
Yes, as always. Okay, thanks for being with us during this episode. We look forward to seeing you next week on Dig In with the Dickersons.
But as I always say,
Yes.
Today is a great day.
To have a great day. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye for now.